werde das Buch heute kaufen. Ich werde das Buch heute kaufen.
In this case, we see one of the most confusing things for learners of German, which is the placement of the second verb at the end of the sentence.
Olá, pessoal! Bem-vindos a mais um vídeo nesse canal. Nós somos cidadãos do terceiro mundo e nesse canal a gente reage e aprende sobre o primeiro mundo. Nesse vídeo, a gente vai reagir ao idioma alemão.
Então pedimos que, por favor, você considere se inscrever, ative as notificações e também deixe mais sugestões lá no nosso Instagram. E agora vamos para a reação.
Hi there.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Deutsch? No, sorry, I don't speak Dutch. Hello language enthusiasts, welcome to the LangFocus channel and my name is Paul. Today I'm going to talk about the German language. German is a very important language that deserves all of our attention. It is spoken by 95 million native speakers, mainly in Central Europe, but it's also spoken by an additional 10 to 15 million second language speakers, especially in Eastern Europe. It is the majority language and an official language in Germany, of course, but also Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and the South Tyrol region of northern Italy. It's also an official language in Luxembourg and Belgium, but it's not a majority language there. German is the most widely spoken language in the European Union. It is also one of the most widely taught languages in the world, with between 75 and 100 million people having studied it as a foreign language. In both the United States and in Europe, it is the third most widely taught foreign language. Did you know that 1/10 of the world's books are published in German? German is also the second most widely used scientific language. I know some doctors and all of them have some reading knowledge of German because so much scientific research is documented in German. So are you starting to get an idea of why German is important? German is a member of the West Germanic language family, which also includes Dutch, Afrikaans, Frisian, English, and Yiddish. The West Germanic languages are part of the wider Germanic language family. So let's take a look at the origins of the Germanic language family. Wait, actually, no, I did this in my last video, so I'm just gonna play that part again while I go get a coffee and I'll be right back. All Germanic languages developed from Proto-Germanic, which was spoken around 500 BCE. Proto-Germanic possibly originated in Scandinavia, and different varieties of Germanic began to emerge with migration. Runic inscriptions from the 2nd century CE show us that by that time Proto-Germanic had began to separate into distinct Western, Eastern, and Northern dialects. Oh, sorry, are you guys waiting for me? Well, let's move on. The West Germanic dialects were probably closely related enough to be mutually intelligible until about the 8th century CE, but at that time something was happening that would split the Germanic language family and give birth to the German language as we know it today. That was the High Germanic sound shift, or the High Germanic consonantal shift. Some West Germanic varieties underwent a number of sound changes. 9 consonants changed, to be precise, and this created 2 distinct groups of Germanic dialects. High German, or Hochdeutsch, and Low German, or Plattdeutsch. And just out of interest, let me pronounce these words a different way. High Deutsch and Flatdeutsch. Maybe there's a connection with English. High German dialects arose in the southern areas of Germany, which are at a higher elevation. That's why they're called High German. The Low German dialects existed in the northern part of Germany at a lower elevation, and also in the Netherlands. These terms do not refer to high and low status, but rather to the elevation of the areas they were spoken in.
Caramba, que louco! Mas será se isso era muito diferente um do...
Isso é uma boa pergunta. Eu sei que em algum país que eu não tenho certeza se seria a Rússia, mas eu sei que tem um país em que não há uma diferença. O país é grande e não tem nenhuma diferença em qualquer lugar que as pessoas usem o seu idioma nativo. O que eu quero dizer é que aqui ele está falando que existiam 2 formas de se falar esse idioma. Em nosso país, dependendo do lugar, você tem que as pessoas falem de uma maneira diferente, mas nesse distinto país que eu não lembro qual é, as pessoas falavam todas iguais. Não havia diferença nenhuma. Mas é muito interessante que eu estou falando isso, porque a Alemanha é um país grande, mas não é um país geograficamente tão grande quanto o nosso. E me surpreende um país assim ter umas formas de falar que eu entendo que eram diferentes para a época.
Realmente pensar nisso é uma coisa muito louca.
Sim.
High German can be further subdivided into two segments, Upper German and Central German. So what were the sound changes that took place? Well, let's take a look. These consonant changes took place in 3 stages. In the first stage, these consonants changed intervocalically. That means between vowel sounds. The P sound, the P, became a F. This T sound became a S. And the K sound became a Ch. Here's an example for the English word for sleep. In Low German, it's
Slapen.
but in German, it's
Schlafen.
In the second stage, these consonants changed at the beginning of a word and also in some other contexts, like if they are the second letter in a double consonant or after an L or an R. So the sound P became Pf, like a P and an F together. The T sound became a Ts. It sounds like a TS sound, even though it's written with a Z. And the K sound became a Kh, like a K sound followed by Ch. Here's an example for the English word tame. In Lower German, it's
Tam.
but in High German, it's
Tam.
In the third stage, 3 more consonants changed. The B sound became a P, the D sound became a T, and the G sound became a K. Here's an example for the English word for day. In Lower German, it's
Dach.
but in High German, it's
Tag.
Now, all of these sound changes took place in Upper German in the south, but some of them didn't take place in Central German, and some of them didn't take place in Standard German. But we'll get to Standard German in a minute. So some of you might
Olha que interessante, parece que nessas 3 regiões o alemão não era igual para todos.
É verdade, mas o que me impressionou é que houveram mudanças e ficou muito diferente, né? Meu Deus, que louco!
be thinking, well, how did these sounds just switch? Well, they didn't instantly switch. They gradually changed over a period of a few centuries, probably between the 5th century and 8th century CE. Over the centuries, the dialect continuum of Low German and High German grew more and more distinct until there were varieties that were quite incomprehensible. So someone from the south in Bavaria would have trouble communicating with someone from Hamburg in the north. But of course, that was before Standard German. The dialects of Low German are often said to be a separate language from High German, and they're often said to be halfway between High German and Dutch. Now, the Low German dialect actually crosses the border into the eastern part of the Netherlands, where Low German is also spoken. But these days, the Low German dialects in the north of the country are mostly fading, and basically only older people speak them. Younger people might understand them, but they tend to use Standard German instead. But when did Standard German come into the picture? Standard German, which, by the way, is also called Hochdeutsch in German, so don't be confused between High German and Standard German, originated as a written literary language that developed over a few hundred years as writers tried to write in a way that would be understood by the largest number of people possible from different dialect areas.
Meu Deus, mas eu acho isso tão louco, porque você vê que ele fala que pessoas mais velhas ainda falam esse outro alemão, mas eu acho isso muito louco, porque a gente não tem nada disso no nosso país. Embora a gente teve mudanças no português, hoje em dia não tem ninguém que fala como era antes. Nem as pessoas mais velhas.
Sim, eu acho que algumas pessoas mais velhas não falam como antes, mas algumas pessoas velhas ainda falam um pouco do português de Portugal.
Eu não sei, porque eu conheci pessoas mais velhas e elas não falavam assim.
Sim, mas eu conheci uma que mora no nosso prédio e fala assim.
Deus.
Mas o que mais surpreende é que no sul do nosso país tem pessoas que falam alemão.
Sim, é verdade, por conta da colonização. Teve aqui numas regiões.
Sim, imigrantes da Alemanha vieram para cá. E eles fazem questão de manter essa essência deles. Isso é uma loucura.
Sim, eu acho isso incrível, porque é uma coisa que a gente tem da Alemanha aqui. E isso é muito louco.
But perhaps the most important factor in the development of Standard German was the translation of the Bible into German by Martin Luther in the year 1522. He based his translation on the Saxon dialect of Central German, while including some vocabulary from other dialects as well. Virtually all speakers of German dialects owned a copy of the New Bible and studied it, effectively popularizing this form of written German. Originally, there was no single way to pronounce this written form of German, but eventually the dialect of Hanover became the standard for pronunciation of Standard German. Standard German includes some of the sounds of the High German consonantal shift, but not all of them because it was influenced by the dialect of Hanover. So Standard German began as a written language, but as it became the language of education, it became more widespread as the formal spoken language, and it also influenced the local dialects. Today, pretty much everyone can speak Standard German, even if they speak a local dialect casually, and many local dialects have become largely replaced by Standard German, especially the Low German dialects in the north of the country. But there are still some dialects that are quite distinct and still thriving, like the Bavarian dialect in the southeast. German is considered a pluricentric language. That means that there are multiple standard varieties of the language. There is one standard language in Germany, one in Austria, and one in Switzerland. All of these standard varieties are pretty much the same except for some differing vocabulary. But of course, those are the standard languages. Switzerland and Austria, and also South Tyrol, which is related to Austria, have their own dialects as well. The Austrian dialects are related to the Bavarian dialects in southeast Germany, and the Swiss dialects are related to the Alemannic dialects in southwest Germany. Maybe you saw my video about the languages of Switzerland. It's this one right here. And in that video, I talked about how the Swiss German dialects are kind of incomprehensible to speakers of Standard German, unless they also speak an Alemannic dialect from the border area. But of course, that's talking about the Swiss German dialect. Swiss Germans can speak Standard German, even if they tend to use it less than people in Germany. Of course, they might pronounce Standard German with a different accent, but that's no big deal. In Austria and South Tyrol, the situation is similar. There are dialects that might be hard to understand for people from some other German-speaking countries, but of course, Standard German is the bridge. These countries are all part of the German Sprachraum. Which means the geographic area over which that language is spoken. And within that Sprachraum, Standard German is the Dachsprache.
Dachsprache?
That means the umbrella language under which all of those dialects can come together. Those two German terms I just used, Sprachraum and Dachsprache, are common linguistic terms, and I think that shows just how much influence the German language has over academic areas of research, like linguistics. So what is the German language like? Well, it's closely related to English, which is obvious when we look at the most basic sentences. Here's an example. I buy books often.
Ich kaufe häufig Bücher. Ich kaufe häufig Bücher.
Here the word order is SVO like in English, except that the adverb comes before the object instead of after it. Here's another example with an important twist. I will buy the book today.
Ich werde das Buch heute kaufen. Ich werde das Buch heute kaufen.
In this case, we see one of the most confusing things for learners of German, which is the placement of the second verb at the end of the sentence. So if there's a helping verb like will or
werde,
it is in the normal SVO position, but the main verb goes at the end. Another example, the book was interesting.
Das Buch war interessant. Das Buch war interessant.
And one more example, I like people who work hard.
Ich mag Menschen, die hart arbeiten. Ich mag Menschen, die hart arbeiten.
Another thing that learners of German find challenging is the case system in German. In German, pronouns and nouns change form depending on their function in the sentence, but along with them, the articles and adjectives also change. Here's an example of German grammatical cases using the noun meaning table.
Der Tisch, den Tisch, des Tisches, dem Tische, die Tische, die Tische, der Tische, den Tischen.
You can see that the change takes place not only in the noun, but also in the definite article as well. The word for table is a masculine noun in German, but there are actually 3 genders in German. There are masculine nouns, feminine nouns, and neuter nouns, and for each of them, the case forms are different. And all of these different forms also apply to adjectives, which drives learners crazy. So while German is closely related to English, the devil is in the details. Even though most of the other Germanic languages are classified as Category 1 languages by the FSI, German is classified as Category 2. It's closely related to English, and they have a lot in common in terms of the general syntax and vocabulary, but when it comes to the fine details of grammar, there are some challenges for learners. But as always, if you are interested in German-speaking cultures and countries, or if you would like to benefit from the widespread use of German, then don't hesitate hesitate to start learning. All challenges become adventures when you become fascinated. The question of the day, German speakers, do you think there's anything unique or special or interesting about your local variety of German? And how do other varieties of German sound to you? Let us know in the comments down below, and everyone else jump in and let's discuss. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.
Caramba! A língua alemã tem uma história muito, muito complexa.
Sim, e me surpreende muito que é um país e que tinha um idioma e que em 3 regiões diferentes as pessoas falavam totalmente diferentes o mesmo idioma.
A ponto de não se entenderem.
Isso é uma coisa muito confusa na minha cabeça. Realmente eu tenho uma dificuldade de entender isso. E me surpreende que na Suíça eles usem um alemão que o alemão na Alemanha não vai entender.
Meu Deus, isso é muito louco, muito louco. Mas a gente já reagiu a um vídeo que falava nomes de marcas em alemão. E a gente ouviu lá a pronúncia de várias marcas, porque nesse vídeo focou mais na questão da história mesmo da língua. Mas é uma língua muito, muito louca e o sotaque é muito diferente. Muito diferente. Realmente eu não sei como seria assim pra gente tentar aprender uma língua assim, porque todo mundo que eu vejo brasileiro falando que tá aprendendo alemão dizem que é muito, muito difícil. E muito diferente do português. Os sons são totalmente diferentes e é um nível muito difícil. Então, eu não sei, mas realmente isso foi muito interessante de assistir.
Sem dúvidas, é um tipo de idioma que tem um alto nível de dificuldade para aprender, porque tudo é muito diferente.
É verdade, sem dúvidas, mas essa foi a reação desse vídeo. Então, se você gostou, aproveita para se inscrever e deixa também mais sugestões no nosso Instagram.
Muito obrigado por ter assistido esse vídeo e a gente se vê na próxima reação.
Tchau!